What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol SWBI for Smith & Wesson brands. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, I need to let you know they gave us an earnings announcement after the bell today, so let's flip on the extended hour session and see what's going on with the number. And my goodness, before I even zoomed in, I'm sure you could see those red candles from a mile away. It's very likely that we open on a gap down for tomorrow's session, but please do remember a lot can happen between now and 9:30. So adjust the levels accordingly that we're about to discuss. We, of course, want to know where the overnight low is, and we also want to know where the forecasted opening print is. And while we're here, we may as well mark off the low of today's session. And again, what we're about to discuss is a framework to help us navigate the open for tomorrow morning. So let's make this a little bit easier on the eyes. There we go. That's looking a little bit better here. The first thing we always think about whenever we're dealing with a gap up or gap down is the gap and trap. And what that looks like would be opening here, failing to attract new sellers underneath the overnight low, so 1921, to trade long back through the open to fill the gap up to today's low of day at 2213. Now, given the nature of how large this gap is and the average range of a day here inside of Smith & Wesson, maybe it doesn't fill all in one day, so I would start to look at a half gap as being a reasonable first target here if the move is higher in the first place and we get the gap and trap. So the 50% mark of this gap is going to be at and around $21 even. Let's just call it that for round number's sake. And if we also look left, right, make pretend with me for a second, it was also a shelf of support from right around in here, so it makes sense from a structural perspective as well. So that's scenario number one, the gap and trap, what you should be thinking about firstly in all gap scenarios. Now, scenario number two is probably the one that, people more often think about where, I would say you should be thinking about scenario number one more often, but people oftentimes just assume number two, which is the gap and go, right? So what that looks like is opening here, some sort of bearish pattern, bear flag could be a descending triangle, right? With lower highs getting into a flat low, something like this. Basically a breakdown of your overnight low at 1921 brings you lower into the next daily support, right? So let's go ahead and scrunch this up, find a level together. And actually, it's going to be quite far from in the past, right? This is something interesting to note as well. Notice how as I hover my cursor here, if I go ahead and click this on, we have this big shelf of resistance from in the past, which then offered support. And that's exactly where we're gapping down into. So this is going to be a very make or break type of level inside of Smith & Wesson. So if it goes, I would definitely anticipate that we could easily move to the next range low, which would be here at $17.59. And again, that's $2. And as we mentioned, the average range is nothing of that sort inside of Smith & Wesson. But again, considering the severity and importance of this structural level here, which is the overnight low as of right now, if it breaks, I could see us getting there to $17.59 over the course of a day. So it's really going to come down to, do we get the gap and go or the gap and trap tomorrow morning? You now have the framework to trade both scenarios and you know what to be watching out for. So if you enjoyed the video or learned anything new today, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.